Well, I've been up since a little after 4 today to go grab a new project. It is what I have dubbed Green Bean 2.0. So for the folks that follow this channel, that'll give you an idea of what I'm picking up. So that'll be next. The next clip is picking up the car, or what little of a car it is, and then on the way back we'll talk about a little about this car and my plans for it. Next morning I slept in the truck because that was a long drive and everything was taking longer than expected. Weather was horrible, windy, all that jazz, but took a nap and almost home now. So just figured it's daylight, can take a look at this piece of tubing. I don't know if we can call it a race car. It's at this point it's some welded together and tacked together tubes. So little walk around here. We'll talk about this. This may change. As will these bars, that X-brace. It was windy. Had to tie that up because these were flapping in the wind. There is nothing. There's actually still more to be cut out. This will get tubbed eventually up pretty high, so those all need to get cut out more. Oh, what else? Same with cleaning all this up. And this might be the motor we use. Again, we'll talk about that. This is a 3.8 Maybach. And then that's a 3.5 block. And those are 3-liter heads. But I'm gonna finish filling up with gas and get back on the road. Well, made it home, took a quick shower, and just so I can get dirty again. So what the plan now is, don't have a good way to get this off because let me flip this. These casters for this heavy frame table, not very big, and the ramps that we have will not work because they have big gaps, so they'll just fall right through there. So I have to go buy or build some ramps for this, then go get my winch that's at a buddy's house so I can hook up the winch to Land Rover, pull this off, move MR2, put this in here, then I have to stare at this thing. And I still haven't even told you guys what I'm thinking about for motor and all kinds of stuff. Although you see these two, doesn't mean that's what it's getting. All right, storage unit bound. And chat about the plan. So obviously Green Bean is no longer, and then I knew about this chassis because I wanted the doors that were on it for several years, but no one that's owned this chassis would ever sell the doors without the car. Turns out the doors aren't as light as I thought they would be, but they are pretty rigid. So back to the main task here. So I reached out to Jared, who owned this, and wanted to see if he was going to do anything with it or if he was interested in selling it. And so he decided to unload it and a lot of the stuff he had for it, which was that 6G74 block, those heads, 6G75 long block, and then a 74 crank. So and it's perfect. So it needs a ton of work, obviously, more than I really want to take on, but it's a good chassis to start with for the things that I like to do. So no prep racing and drag and drive events. Might be a little uncomfortable for drag and drive, but perfect for no prep. Now, what am I gonna do with it? Back and forth all over the place, and my friends are tired of hearing about it. I'd like the 6G record, which is 857 with the 3000 GT, actually held by this car before it was this cut up. I also want the overall chassis record, which is 787, held by Garrett with a 4G63 with my 4G swap mounts. So it needs to go low 780, and I think that's doable with a 6G and whatever kind of combo I'd like. Now, I also like to race and not have to worry about taking transmissions out all the time. So that starts to rule out the W4A33 Mitsubishi all-wheel drive trans. I don't think it'll like the torque that these V6s can make. I mean, you can work on the V6 and turn it into a 4-cylinder basically with bigger cams, tuning, big turbos, blah blah blah, you know the deal, intake, short runner intake and all that, which I'll do anyway, and just knock down some torque and make higher RPM power. That's doable. But I'd rather have like a Power Glide, Turbo 400, something that parts are easy to get, upgrades unlimited, power unlimited, and so that's an option. So that would put it in a longitudinal fashion instead of transverse, and then open up some of that. I also thought about 4-wheel drive. I like it. It's unique. The cars came that way. I do things a little different than what I did with the last setup, and you know, there's certainly room and the ability to do that. It does add more cost, more complexity, more weight. It takes me out of some classes that I could go to, more things to break, and at the speeds I think this thing, you know, may be capable of, it's probably not as safe either than just having rear-wheel drive, especially on a prep track. So yeah, that's all that. And then really the money is not necessarily in the motor. The money is in everything else, getting the chassis done, suspension, rear end, you know, the time, needs brakes, time, miscellaneous things, obviously doing all the tin work, wheel tubs, carbon wheel tubs would be sick, fuel system, safety stuff, you know, all of that's there, and the motor is just one component of all of that. So if you're spending all the time and money on everything else, then it's like, why limit yourself to a V6? Done the LS thing. The new LTs are interesting. Coyotes are really interesting. Robert at Force Performance keeps trying to talk me into a Coyote, and you know, 1,500 to 2,000 horsepower range of the horsepower range. They start to turn into not as expensive as everybody thinks, because you know, you're talking, you can do that with a stock block and sleeve it, whereas an LS, you're going to need an aftermarket block. And if you want an aluminum block, they're not as, the aftermarket aluminum blocks aren't as reliable unless you go billet. Now you're talking even more money. Even an iron block, you know, you add a bunch of weight and it starts getting to not be as good as a platform as the Coyote with all those chains. So it's interesting, and that's where I'm at. I mean, I got that V6 itch that I'd like to scratch, but there's no reason I couldn't set it up that I could swap it in the future for a different motor. So, and then again, still trying to determine rear-wheel drive versus four-wheel drive. I was leaning heavily four-wheel drive, and now I'm leaning towards rear-wheel drive, and just, you know, set it up rear-wheel drive from the beginning. So that's where we're at. You know, this is going to be a long one, long project, long intro video. It's a bit overwhelming, it really is. I'm gonna buy chassis books and research, and, you know, start taking notes on what I need to do. There's definitely bars that I need to move around. And that's based on my limited knowledge. So yeah, it's gonna be a project. I am super excited. I'm just worn out, so that might not be coming through very well. But when I was first picking it up and seeing it for the first time, you couldn't smack the grin off my face. So it's barely a car, but it's gonna be something cool. Made it to the storage unit and saw my remaining rear wheel and tire from Green Bean, and had to do a little mock-up. That's how it's sitting now. Basically, this is ride height the way it's set up, so that's what, 2 inches to the frame. I'll probably change that and flip that up and make it more like 4 inches, because I do intend to drive this on the road for Rocky Mountain Race Week. So but holy crap, that looks awesome. Man, that makes me want to do four-wheel drive and tuck a 28 up front too. May not fit. This thing is low. Man, that is sick. So this is 28-inch tall. Like to get it set up to run 29, but man, it's gonna be, I mean, there's room, but the tub will definitely have to come all the way up. I'm acting like I know what the hell I'm talking about. I don't. Wow, that's insane. Okay, motivated. Back at the new race motor. I might need 2 hands. This is a front wheel drive pan, front sump, so I'll look to see what kind of options we have for rear sump, probably a Montero. This could potentially work as a manifold even for a turbo. If I did twins, that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty awesome. Just make an adapter. All right, got this one off too, and holy crap, an empty 6G block is heavy. Intake is light. Head's pretty light. That's ridiculous. It has to weigh as much as an Iron LS. Has to. Crank's a little lighter. Heads are probably similar, but man, that's a heavy block. Making me rethink using these lumps in this bad boy. So I really can't set the motor back as far as I'd like, because it'll be, this is where the tire is approximately. There's not a lot of room without putting it way under the windshield. Which isn't, you know, that big of a deal. Lexana eventually cut it out if needed so you can get to the intake, but you still want to be able to get to everything with ease to work on. In my new office, it echoes even with no doors on. So definition of tin can. Well, that's pretty thick, but yeah, they fit kinda. Not bad. Missing a little bit back there. Oh, so much work. I get hurt when it's on the ground, not when we're doing sketching. All right, let's get some speed. Speed.
New race cars going in the garage.
There's an MR2 there. Push the back over. Yeah. It's in.
It's parked for how many years now?
Right? Race car. Woo!
Dad's toys.
Dude, that looks awesome.